Hello and welcome to Hive's September Speaker Series. We're really excited to host Randi Jo and get into mindfulness for not only kids, but also for parents, because we know that that is top of mind these days. Before we do that, and I have Sarah introduce Randi Jo, I just want to go over a few just kind of quick housekeeping things about things that have been going on with Hive that we want to share. Many of you probably already know that we'd sent out a survey earlier a couple months ago just to get some feedback on what was important to our community and to serve the parents and families that we are trying to target. And mental health was at the top of the list. So that really helped promote and get our wheels turning and get Randi Jo scheduled so she could be our speaker for this session. So we're really excited about that. Additionally, we have submitted our registration for Live PC Give PC this year. That will be on November 6th. So keep your eyes out for that or mark it on your calendars. We are continuing to connect with other local nonprofits and organizations in the community. And we're really kind of, just continuing to work on expanding our web of connections. And so we can really fully support the families of Park City. And in the time of Zoom, outside Park City, because that's what we want to do. We are continuing to host Newbie Mamas. That is Tuesday at 10 o'clock Mountain Standard Time every single week. Sarah is there and is our lovely, amazing, supportive host. And Candace also comes, who's a lactation consultant. And so we are, it's a time to connect with other moms. If you guys know of anyone who has just delivered or is about to deliver and really wants to start creating that connection and has any questions about that kind of perinatal period, then that would be a great thing to attend. So just contact us via our website and send us an email and we'll send you those Zoom links. And then of course, if you guys ever have any speaker ideas or topics that you want to address, we are all ears because we really want to curate these series for what you want and what you need. So keep us posted on that. Again, Hive, with this speaker series, we create a safe space for sharing. We are recording this, and so that way we can send it out to lots of parents that are not able to make it during this time, especially as kids are going back to school and people are starting to work again. We want to give you the flexibility to be able to watch this later. And also, just keep in mind, just watch your inbox because we're going to send out a list of references from Randi Jo that she recommends, as well as links to her website when she offers classes to schools and to the community at large in Park City. So without further ado, I'm going to pass the baton to Sarah and she will introduce Randi Jo and we will get this show on the road.
Hi, thank you so much, Randi Jo, for being here and everyone for tuning in. Randi Jo and I have known each other our whole parenting lives. It feels like. She has a 15-year-old daughter and my son is 15. And so I adore Randi Jo and really appreciate her time. Randi Jo has been a certified yoga teacher since 1999. She began teaching prenatal yoga at the shop and became pregnant in 2004. And that led to postnatal yoga, mommy and me, and kids yoga. She morphed her career with her child, which is quite a talent. And Randi Jo has been teaching yoga here in Park City, and she teaches mindfulness for adults and kids and families ever since. You probably recognize her logo. I know our children do. And she is certified with YogaWorks, Yoginos, Yoga for Youth, and Mindful School. Randi Jo is an Anusara Inspired Teacher and is enrolled in a 2-year mindful meditation teacher program. So she is here with us to speak about some mindfulness. Thank you so much. Welcome, Randi Jo.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. This is so great. What a great community you guys created. So thanks for inviting me in. And yeah, so today I just thought I would give you guys some tips, things you can do, informal practices with kids, with your whole family, on your own. The great thing about practicing mindfulness and yoga, the way I teach is that you don't have to have an hour and a half and a yoga mat and a snazzy outfit, and you don't have to face east for 45 minutes silently. Like, really, for me, it's a glimpsing practice. It's how do we bring some skills out of our toolbox and into our lives that we can use whenever we need it, right? So it could be 5 minutes from now, it could be 2 hours from now, it could be right after school, after dinner, whenever. So I'm just going to give you guys some tips and some fun and simple stuff you can do, and try it out. Some of this stuff feels kind of kid oriented, but honestly, you can use it for yourself, and it's the same practice for adults and for kids. So I thought I'd just start out with a practice that's more of like a yoga practice, but it's also a little bit of mindfulness. And this one is called Head, Shoulders, Knees, and Toes. So we all know the song, right? We've sang it with our kids. It just pops right into your head when you hear those words and those prompts. And so it's a great simple practice to bring into your day when you're at the stoplight, right? In your car, or you just need a moment and it's like, oh, what can I do? What practice? Bam, head, shoulders, knees, and toes. So you can do this one standing or sitting. I'm plugged in, so I think I'm going to do it sitting. But basically, all I want you to do is start out and just take your hands to your head. Just sort of rub your head. Give yourself a little massage. Get in there. You can close your eyes. You can just really notice what that feels like. Get your fingers into some of those great pressure points. And then you can take your hands, interlace them, and just place them on your head. I like to call this hand hat. And so this pressure of your hands on your head, not only can this be like kind of a subtle, like, oh, I'm just hanging out, no big deal, nobody knows you're practicing mindfulness, but it also is a great way to work with some of the pressure points in your head and really help you relax. So if you press your hands down into your head and then maybe sit up a little taller into your hands and take a breath. And then take your hands maybe to your shoulders and give yourself a little massage, right? One at a time, back, front, sides, just give yourself a little shoulder acknowledgement, little love to the shoulders. And then guess where we're going next? To our knees. So you can just take your hands, place them on your kneecaps, and just maybe rub around, maybe just lightly rub around your knees, above, below, notice what you're feeling. And, this is Park City, so there's a lot of knee injuries from skiing and biking and whatnot. And so just be gentle with yourself, but acknowledge if you feel something that maybe you didn't notice before, or if it just feels good. Take a breath. And then bring your hands down to your toes. So you can go all the way down. I teach yoga, so I'll lift up my foot and just give myself a little foot massage. I like to be barefoot more than not, but just give yourself a little rub. Socks, no socks, doesn't matter. Get down there. And again, you can do this whole thing standing or sitting. Do both feet and just notice, where does that feel good? And boy, why didn't I even think to do this before? Simple. Good. And then you're going to place your foot down. And then we're going to move on with the head, shoulder, knees, and toes practice. So basically, all I want you to do is sort of hands to head, like that hand hat. Take a breath. And know my hands are on my head. That's it. Then take your hands to your shoulders and just rest them. Maybe just tap them lightly right there. And just, my hands are on my shoulders. These are my shoulders. And then hands to your knees and just touch your knees. These are my knees. And then down to your toes. Just take a moment and hands on your feet. And then come back up. Hey, hi.
Hi.
Hi, Jose. So, okay, now we're going to do head, shoulders, knees, and toes, but we are not going to, I'm going to take. Can you hear me? Good. So now we're going to do head, shoulders, knees, and toes, but just keep your hands on your lap. Just rest your hands. We're not going to use our hands this time. So you can close your eyes or you can just stare softly at something if that feels more comfortable. But I want you to think about, imagine you're touching your head. Just imagine you're touching your head. And then imagine you're touching your shoulders. Imagine you're touching your knees. Imagine you're touching your toes. You're going to do that one more time. Again, you can have eyes closed or open, but I really want you to think about it and imagine that feeling of your head, your shoulders, knees, and toes. Good. And come back to slowly blink your eyes open. So that practice is simple. And now that you've done it before, you can just say, oh, give myself a little, right? I'm at a stoplight or I have a minute. I'm just going to get in there and touch head, shoulders, knees, and toes. And then I'm just going to take a breath at each location. Take a breath in and out, thinking about my head. In and out, thinking about my shoulders, knees, and toes. Very simple, but it's a great way to focus. It's a body scan. It's a way to connect to your body. And the first foundation of mindfulness is mindfulness of breath and body. So by connecting our breath with our body, it really helps us get present, to pause, and to think. And for me, one of my favorite ways to remind ourselves about mindfulness and what it is, I think of the ABCs. So, Jose, do you know the ABCs? What are the first three letters?
Yes.
What are the first three letters of the ABCs?
A,
Then what?
B, C,
Perfect.
D.
That's it. No, we don't even have to go that far. We're going to stop with ABC. So that reminds us, A is pay attention. B, pay attention to your breath. And C is so you can choose your behavior. So if we can pay attention to our breath, it helps us choose how we're going to be, right? If we're mad about something, we don't need to hit something or be angry or yell at somebody. We can say, wait, I'm going to take a breath and choose to know that I'm feeling a little angry, but know that I don't need to yell at somebody else because of it, or I don't need to hit something because of it. All right? Make sense? Cool. So we are going to do a mindful eating exercise. So if everybody could get a piece of food, maybe a piece of fruit or a vegetable, a raisin. I have, you see that? I have a grape. I have a cotton candy grape. We love these at my house. So does everybody have a piece of food? You got something? All right. So this is how you do mindful eating. And what I want you guys to do, I'm going to teach you how to do this today, and then I want you to do this tonight at dinner with your family. I want you to teach your family how to do mindful eating. So here it goes. The first thing I'm going to do is take this. I'm going to imagine, I don't know what this is. I'm an alien. I'm an alien scientist, and I found this. And I'm going to examine it and try to figure out what this thing is, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to look at it. I'm going to look at that. What color is that piece of food that you're holding? You don't have to tell me. You can just think about it. And I'll describe mine, and you can just look at whatever food you have. Like, okay, so mine's green. Some places it's a little bit brown, like on the end, but I'm noticing it's green. I'm noticing it's kind of oval. Kind of looks like a little mini egg or something. That's what I'm seeing. Okay, and then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to feel it. For me, I'm not going to squeeze it really hard, but for me, this thing that I'm holding, this object, I don't know what it is, it's soft a little bit. but it's also like firm on the outside. It's kind of smooth. It's smushy when I squeeze it. All right. Now I'm going to move on. I'm going to continue examining this as a scientist. I'm going to smell it. I'm not going to put it like all the way in my nose, right? That's not good. So I'm just going to smell it. Now this doesn't seem to have any smell at all, but maybe your food has some smell. All right, then the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to listen. Does it make any noise when I shake it? When I smush it in my fingers, does it just do anything? This is a pretty quiet little object. I don't really know. Okay, now I'm going to be a very brave alien scientist, and I'm going to take one bite of this. So just one bite, and then I'm going to hold it in my mouth for a moment. So if you have a piece of food, take a little bite. I'm going to think about that. What does that feel on my tongue? Is it sweet? Is it sour? Did it squirt? And then I'm going to chew it slowly. Really think about what's going on there. When I chew mine, it makes like a crunch. And then it also squirts a little, it's gooey kind of in the middle. And now I can smell something different in the middle. Yeah. And now it's like there's juice dripping down my hand from this. Wow. I have no idea what this thing is. I'm going to take one more bite and examine it. Close my eyes, really think about it. Now, do I like it? I don't know. Do I not like it? Doesn't matter. I don't know. I'm just a scientist trying to figure out what this thing is. All right. So what I'm going to say, because I've really studied this and I've really thought about it and worked with all my different senses, I think mine was a grape. Yeah, I had some information beforehand, but I'm thinking that's a grape. But anybody else? What did you guys try? Did you try any food? Let me see. Did anybody try anything? Wow, looks like Joanne's chewing. Yeah. Yeah, so you can do that with raisins. You can do it with a piece of chocolate. You can do that at the dinner table with your family. And the great thing about practicing mindful eating is that it helps your digestion because it slows you down, you know, to eat and really feel and digest the food. But beyond that, it's a really interesting way to appreciate food, to appreciate where it came from, have a conversation about it, to really notice things that maybe you didn't notice. You might try a food you didn't try before and think, ooh, I love this. I had no idea I was going to like this. Or, ooh, I don't like that. I'm not going to eat that again, but I'm glad I tried it. Right? It's always good to have new eating adventures. Anyway, so that's kind of our mindful eating practice. And I would ask you to try that tonight at dinner. But if you have time before that, if you're going to have a little lunch break or a snack later, try to remember. So before you just like unwrap your bar and you throw it in your mouth or you say, oh, that's my favorite food. Before you do that, see if you can slow yourself down, take a breath, and notice, how does it feel? What does it smell like? Does it make sound? What does it taste like? What does it look like? All that stuff. Anyway, that's one of my favorite practices, mindful eating. So if anybody has any questions, we can talk about that now. Do you have any questions about mindful eating?
I don't know any questions.
That is perfectly fine. You know what? After you try it tonight at dinner, you might have some questions, right? And if you do, you can ask whoever you're eating with. You can ask them the questions. That's part of being an alien scientist. Maybe you guys can come up with some answers together. Sound like a plan? All right. Is there a food that you don't like at all, Jose? You like it all. What's your favorite food?
Apple.
Apples. I just had an apple with some peanut butter. Ooh, wow.
Apple and chicken nuggets.
Oh, good combo. That's healthy. So what you can do is just separate them on your plate and first do mindful eating with your apple and then try it with your nuggets.
Good idea? You do that with your family later. All right, so what I'd like to do now is a little bit more about basic mindfulness. We can just take a few minutes. So the definition, there are so many ways to describe what mindfulness is. We already talked about the ABCs, but my favorite mindfulness definition is this. This is by a woman, her name is Amy Salzberg. She's a writer. And she wrote that mindfulness is paying attention here and now with kindness and curiosity, and then choosing your behavior. So what mindfulness is about, it's like just noticing what's happening right now. Wow, my heart is racing. Maybe I'm nervous. I'm going to feel that. I'm going to notice I'm nervous. I'm going to be a little curious about it. And then I'm just going to, instead of being like mad at myself, why are you nervous? You do Zoom calls all the time. People you know, people you don't know. Why would you be nervous? Instead of being judgmental, instead of being like mad at myself, I'm going to say, I'm going to be kind. I'm a little nervous here. I'm going to take a breath and be okay with being a little nervous. And I'm just going to go ahead and work with that and see how I do, right? Not be mad at myself. So that's how we choose our behavior. There's a breathing exercise that I love called anchor breath. So an anchor, do you know what an anchor is, Jose?
No, I don't.
I will tell you that. So an anchor is like you attach one of these things called an anchor to a boat when you don't want the boat to move around and float away. If you put an anchor on a boat, it'll keep it in place. It might move around a little here and there, but it'll come back to that spot. It'll be where you wanted it. Like having a leash on a dog, right? The leash, well, still the dog can move around, but the dog's not going to go too far if you have a leash on it. And this helps us to ground ourselves. So we can say, oh my gosh, my heart is racing. My head is so filled with different thoughts. My feet don't want to stay still. But if we do an anchor breath, it helps us stay still, or at least helps us stay calm and focused for a little bit longer than maybe we could have. So the first thing I want you to do is put your hand on your belly and feel your hands on your belly and just take a breath or two there. Take some big breaths. When you take some big breaths with your hand on your belly, you might feel your belly go in and out a little bit. Just notice that. Feel your belly moving with your breath. And you can even think, I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out. Good. And then we're going to take our hands, put them on your heart or right on your chest. And then you're going to take a big breath there. Maybe a couple of big breaths. See if you can feel the breath moving in towards your hands. Can you feel your heart? Can you feel the breath in your hands? Maybe even let your hands gently move in towards your heart a little bit more. So that is your heart anchor. So we've done the belly anchor, the heart anchor, and then this is my favorite. Put your finger like this, and then you're going to take your finger underneath your nose like it's a mustache. Yeah. And just keep it there for a moment. If you want, you can close your eyes. You don't have to. But see if you can feel the breath. Can you feel like the breath on your finger? Maybe it feels cool when the air comes in. Maybe it feels warm when the air goes out. And then you can relax your hand down. So one of those was probably more comfortable than the other for you. Like maybe it was really easy to feel the breath in your belly, or maybe it was really easy to feel it at your heart, or maybe your nose. For me, this is my favorite spot, right under my nose. That's where I like to use as my anchor, but maybe you have a different spot. So pick one, and we're going to take 5 breaths together. And I want you to see if you can feel the breath, and you can use your hands if that's easier for you, or you can let your hands just rest. But we're going to take 5 breaths. See if you can feel that anchor breath. right, and then blink your eyes open to a soft gaze. How'd that feel? Does it feel good to take like a mini break, right? Sometimes maybe if you're in the classroom or you're trying to do your work at home on the computer and you get frustrated and you're like, I can't do this math problem. If you just say, oh, I'm going to find my anchor. I'm going to do my ABCs. I'm going to pay attention to my breath so I can choose not to be angry about this math assignment, right? So that'll help you focus. So I was going to do a practice about coming more into our bodies, but I think I'm going to do a mindful listening practice. 1 second, I'm going to get my mindful bells. All right, I got them. So these are my little bells. A friend of mine gave these to me. These are from, I think they're from Tibet or India. A friend of mine brought these to me as a gift. So what we're going to do today is a mindful listening practice. This is another thing that's really kind of fun to do. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ring the bell like this. Hear that? So I'm going to ring the bell, and what I want you to do is listen. See if you can listen to the ringing of the bell. When you think that ringing has stopped, when you don't hear any more ringing, what I want you to do is this. You're just going to raise your hand. Yes. You're just going to raise your hand when you think the ringing stopped. Okay? Here we go. So you can close your eyes if you want, so you can really listen, or not, if that doesn't feel good. Here we go. First ringing of the bell. Is it still ringing for you? If you think the ringing has stopped, just go like that. All right, so now we're going to do it again. So what happens is when you practice mindful listening, when you learn to focus like that, it gets easier to hear more sounds, to notice more things. So I'm going to do it again, and I want you to see if you can notice how long it lasts. It might last longer this time, now that you know the sound and what to expect. Okay, so if you want, close your eyes. I'm going to ring the bell again. Here we go. When it stops ringing, raise your hand. Good. So when we practice this mindful listening, it's a great way to notice what's happening around us and to practice our ABCs, right? To be in our breath and choose our behavior because we're able to focus. So we're going to do that one more time, but this time I'm not going to use my bells. I want you to close your eyes. If that doesn't feel good, again, you can just stare at something softly, but I'm going to give you about 10 seconds to listen. And I want you to see if you can notice the closest sound to you, and then see if you can notice the sound that's really far away. All right? So here we go. So we're going to take a moment here. I'm going to raise my hands, and when I take them down, you're going to start your listening practice. When I pick them back up, we're done. All right? Here we go. You ready? What do you notice that's really close? Think about it. And what do you notice that's really far away? All right, putting my hands back up. Does anybody want to share? Does somebody want to tell me something that they noticed, that they heard that was really close? Sarah, what did you hear?
I heard the wind, and I heard it in the trees. And then when I was really listening, I heard like a gust that was far away.
Oh, cool. So you heard the wind, but you heard it in different places.
I heard it in
Awesome.
different places.
Jose, what did you hear? What was really close to you? Did you hear somebody breathing? Did you hear somebody cooking? Was there any movement? Did you hear anything far away? Did you notice anything far? I think I hear somebody in your house kind of far away.
Yes, that's my sister and my babies.
Babysitter? Do you hear anything closer than that? Is there anything closer than your sister or the babysitter?
What was it?
Oh, I hear their voice getting even closer. Right? I heard the voice far away and then I heard the voice close. So that's how we practice mindful listening. First I heard the garage door open in my house downstairs. And then I heard the sound of the wind way far outside too. So it might have been the same wind that Sarah was hearing where she lives. But we both heard the wind, which was pretty cool. That connected us together. So anyway, that's how we practice some mindfulness. We did mindful listening. We did our mindful bodies. We did a body scan. We did an anchor breath practice. We did head, shoulders, knees, and toes also to bring ourselves into our bodies and our breath. So these are all great things you can put in your toolkit. I would suggest practicing mindful eating later today or tonight and talk to your whole family about it, or your babysitter, who's ever with you, maybe your sister, and see what they think about the food and eat it mindfully. So thank you so much for having me here. I love visiting with you and teaching you mindfulness. Let me know, does anybody have any questions or anything?
I am Jose.
It's so nice to meet you, Jose. Thank you for joining us for mindfulness. Was this the first time you've ever practiced? Did it seem fun? Did it seem like something you'd like to try again?
Yes.
Would it be helpful, maybe if you're like mad at your sister, to say like, wait, I'm gonna practice my ABCs and take a breath before I yell at my sister? Yeah, I think that would be a good idea.
How old are you, Jose?
6.
Great.
Well,
Well,
let's
I have a question.
Oh, good.
Yes. What if, like Jose, or you're a new mama and you have a baby that's crying and crying and crying and crying and crying? What is a tip for a mindful practice when you're, let's say you're like sleep training or something and that baby is crying? What can you do to calm your nerves?
Well, we used a lot of practices today you could use. So I would suggest just pausing, feeling your feet on the floor, and taking a breath before you kind of spiral out, right? Because what happens is at first you're like, oh, there's the crying. Oh no, I wanted to sleep a little longer. I wish the baby would stay asleep. I needed a break. You know, your mind starts to go with all these ideas and all these things that could have happened or would have been better or you wish were different. But if you can learn to practice those ABCs, just to pay attention to your breath, it really does give you that space to choose how you want to be. So something as simple as one breath, and then when you say, oh, that felt kind of good for me to take one breath, maybe you say, I'm going to take 5 more. And you count 5 breaths.
That's good.
Right? So it's just so simple. And we all have feelings of frustration. It's so normal. We're all thinking we're the only people that have a baby that doesn't sleep in the night. How come everybody else's baby sleeps all night? Right? But like, it's common. We all have the same stuff. We all go through the same things. And if we can take a moment to take a breath and remember, I'm not the first person trying to do this. I'm not the first person having a hard time with this. It helps with self-compassion. It helps to be more patient and to focus, okay, what am I trying to do? Why am I trying to do this? And how can I be more present? And how can I be more compassionate with the baby and with myself? Right?
Love that. Those are really good tips. I just have one more question also. I love the stories of so many of our speakers at Hive are mamas, yourself included, and we know that juggling getting back into work after having a baby. And do you have any tips on your story on how you sort of have included your career into your family life?
Wow. Well, I feel like I got really lucky. I moved to a town, first of all, that I was teaching yoga at the time when I moved to Park City. I had already been teaching 5 years or more. And I moved here and I signed up for a prenatal yoga class. And I got lucky in a way in that I had one great class with a teacher, but then she had to leave and they needed a yoga teacher, right? So I got very lucky. So I started teaching prenatal yoga. And then it seemed like all of my students started to have babies, right? This happens. And then it's like, I guess we could bring the babies to the class. So it became kind of a mommy and me, a pre and postnatal class. And then the kids got bigger and they started like crawling around the room, right? So we were like, let's do kind of like a mommy and me, let's get fit kind of yoga class where we would do a pose and hold the baby or breathe and lift the baby. We did all sorts of different things like that. Then, lo and behold, the babies were old enough to go to preschool. And so I signed my daughter up for preschool at a place where they wanted me to teach yoga. So I taught yoga to the kids at preschool. Sarah, one of your oldest was in the class. And so anyway, and then it just sort of spiraled. And as my daughter grew, I began teaching at the elementary school and then at the middle school. And this year she's in the high school and I'm actually teaching mindfulness to the teachers through a grant from the Park City Education Foundation. I'm teaching mindfulness to teachers at the high school so they can bring it into the classrooms. And it's just, I have been blessed. I have been in the right place at the right time in a town that was not overloaded with children's yoga teachers and prenatal. So I got very lucky, but there's also just ways to incorporate your family and your child in your practice if it's yoga. But if it's other things, how, it's just exploring. Now so much is online that, so many work environments are via Zoom and, online that we can find ways to incorporate our work and being at home at the same time, which is kind of a blessing. It's new and it's different. And it's one of the positives that has come from this whole situation is that it gives moms and dads more capability to actually teach from home or work from home and be more flexible that way. So that's kind of nice.
I love your story. I love that.
Yeah.
What podcasts or apps or teachers, or I know we'll send out a resource list with your website, which has a lot of it, but just out of curiosity, like what are you listening to that you find inspiring or following?
So many things. I find that I make myself so busy trying to be more mindful, right? So I have this 10% Happier app, which I love. It's lots and lots of great teachers, and it's all sorts of different mindfulness practices from like a 5-minute intro to, I think the longest practices they have are like 20-minute practices. It's super accessible and the teachers are awesome and you can try all different teachers there. And the teachers, some of them are funny, some are more serious, some are more old school. You know, people have been teaching mindfulness for 50 years, and then there's kind of new funky teachers. And anyway, there's a lot to choose from. That's my absolute favorite. But as far as books and things go, I mean, I love reading mindfulness basics books. I love reading Tara Brach. I love reading Jack Kornfield, Sharon Salzberg. There's so many great teachers out there, and they all have so many books. And you can literally go to Amazon and just type in mindfulness, and you'll get really great stuff, and you can read about them there. If you look on my website, which is Yoga with Randi Jo, there's a whole mindfulness section, and you can watch videos. You can you know, get access to all sorts of different things. I also have a YouTube channel, so you can watch videos, and I do everything on there, from story time to you know, mini mindfulness and yoga practices for adults and kids.
Oh, that's going to be great, because we all need little, you know, exercises to do with ourselves and our children. So thank you for making that available. Well, thank you so much. Mel, I see you're on here. Thank you for being here. And I really look forward to continuing this mindful journey together. So I wish you a beautiful day. Stay warm, stay grounded. Don't let the wind blow us away. And thanks so much. It means a lot that you're here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right.